Yeah, those little Ryobi fans would be good.
So I didn't see any emails. I think maybe one from that somebody's going to call. But knowing Robert Morris, he's probably got this whole thing lined up again. You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
So.
And even if he doesn't,
Michael Perkins.
I would imagine he's going to go.
I don't know if he's gotten his phone privileges. He's not here. He's not here. He's moved to D.C. as of yesterday or the day before.
So you know what happens with that, right? Tom stands up in front of the board and says, "We know you got him." The next thing you know, no, we don't.
If he calls, we're going to ask him the details. When exactly did they pull you out?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's amazing. We know you got him.
And you know you're not supposed to be put together.
And you know that would just be another piece of evidence that we've been effective.
I would hope that had that effect.
If they know that they can't even receive one without us coming in and talking about it, and then they strip them out, that's awesome. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. We'd like to keep them all out of here. Anywhere else but here, apparently.
And I have to work on cultivating some of the relationships with the local people, because there's one guy that, and I don't know what's happened to Debbie Hogan.
Yeah, we were talking about her the other day when we were sitting in the meeting. I said, "Did you know she's disappeared?" Well, here's the deal. Exactly, that's what I was thinking. She may be fighting with some of her own health demons.
Yeah, we'll put that up there.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this when we talk about what do we want to be in life. A lot of work went into that, and everybody kind of got behind it. It took us a couple meetings to get it resolved, but that's sort of our mission. That is our mission statement, and I think that's what I'd like to focus on this next meeting.
Testing. All right, welcome folks to day 911, 911 days of the January 6th saga. We're here at Northern Neck Regional Jail live streaming. It is July 7th, 2023, and we'll start off as usual with a prayer and get started here. Heavenly Father, please watch over all of those people that are going through their sentencing and trials because of the January 6th events, and guide the judges. Hopefully they are understanding and hearing that they need to consider each one of these cases as an individual, and I believe that some of them are starting to do that, but their sentences are crazy, so you know this. And dear Lord, please watch over and give strength to the people that work in this facility. There are a lot of really wonderful people. We were hoping that your guidance can help them to make the right decisions. Everybody that goes through this facility, as always, give your strength to the parents and the spouses who are heartbroken by some of the sentences that have happened and the durations, and give them the strength to get through this, as they will, and they'll be rejoined eventually with these brave patriots that we're standing here today honoring. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, I'm reading this. I've read it before. And I think back, was it the year before this past winter?
There was discussion about going around and helping other folks that were in need. And I think we strained our resources, made it a little bit thin over that. But in general, I look at this thing and I'm going, you know, this reads, that mission is not unlike a constitutional militia. I ain't arose by any other name, and here you are. You know, we've had those guys come through and talk to us about what that actually is, the constitutional militia. And I'm like, holy crap, I wasn't even looking, and that's what we are. So, yeah, if you all take a look at this thing, it's exactly what you would do. I mean, everybody, a lot of people think they get all scared to death over that word militia because they think you're going to be walking around being vigilantes. Well, the two words don't mean the same thing, and a militia is not a bunch of vigilantes. But this is it. Cheryl and I have lived the last year and a half, 2 years, working on engaging local and national issues, educating our fellow citizens, supporting J6 political prisoners, hold our school boards accountable. That's an ongoing fight, and everybody in this country needs to be doing that. Organize rallies to bring awareness. There's a good point. Host expert speakers at meetings. Again, that gets back to the education part. And fundraise for our causes. That's a very concise mission. And that works. So, and like our forefathers would have said, the best citizenry is an educated citizenry. That's the only way to maintain freedom, is to be educated. And there's a lot of need for the education out there. I don't know, you know, there's probably a lot of folks that watch this stream here, and they bump into them every day in the grocery store or at work, and there's people that are just ignorant to what's going on around them. They're all over the place. We see them every day. So yeah, that's what we do, and that's what everybody ought to be doing.
Nice words, Maurice, and thanks for reading that out loud, because I don't know, it just struck me that as we think about our third year as Patriots, so our second anniversary is next week. It was actually this past week, but it fell on 4th of July, so we're looking forward to a big potluck dinner and a fun meeting where we're going to actually spend time practicing speaking in public. You know, I think there's going to be a few of us that will be willing to do it, and maybe a few others we can get outside their comfort zone. And this occurred to me earlier today, and I'm going to bring this out tonight, is the January Sixers. I'd like to have those guys call in. And if you think about it, probably most of them never really cared for public speaking, you know, having to make an argument for themselves and a case for what's going on. And look at how some of those guys have risen to great heights. I would say, you know, it's majestic heights these guys have gotten to. So anyway, you have any thoughts on that?
I have my speech ready. I wrote it last week. I have to look at it again and add a little bit to it. So I think, or forgot the title of it. Who are we and where we go from here, or something like that.
Nice. So I took I don't know what it was called. This is 25, 30 years ago. I took a course in, I think it was theater arts, not history of theater, but there was exercises that you go through, and if you do them, they actually shed some of that stage fright. And so you do these exercises, and I was thinking, you know, if you've never done them, the first time you get introduced to them, they kind of feel ridiculous, but they work. And so I was thinking, you know, we have that meeting, get those people down there. I might share what the exercise is and see if it helps them. It won't necessarily help them in the immediate sense, but for every one of them that goes home and tries it, they'll figure it out, and it does work. But it's we got to really encourage these people to do that, because if that's what's holding them back, and I suspect in large part it might be one of the things that's holding them back from showing up and standing up in front of a microphone at a Board of Supervisors meeting, you know, if you've never done it before, it's hard to imagine that those boards of supervisors are actually made up of human beings.
Right. Right.
Right, right. But you force yourself out of your comfort zone and you go do it, and we've seen that over and over again. So yeah, I think it'll be fun too, and it could be a comical story. You don't have to write a dissertation. So
That's
I'm
actually a really good idea.
I'm going to encourage the guys tonight to do that. What I thought of is setting up 2 15-minute blocks. So a group of 5 callers and another group of 5 callers. So it's really only 2 phone calls, but we might be able to get up to 10 people to do that. So let's do the roll call because I'm not going to list their sentences and so on, but this list is according to the severity of their sentences for the most part. So Albuquerque Head, Patrick McCoy, Kyle Young, Howard Adams, Hosea Kenyon, Robert Morse, Mark Ponder, Ronald Sandlin, Mark Mazza, Jeffrey Brown, Jeffrey Sills, Lucas Denny, Justin Jersey, Kenneth Harrelson, Howard Richardson, Mahila Pryor, Nicholas Lagerand, William Reed, Mitchell Gardner, Todd Gardner, Nicholas Brockhoff, Matthew Miller, David Judd, Ricky Wilden, Troy Sargent, Cash Kelly, Ronnie Presley, Adam Jackson, Andrew Taki, Barry Ramey, Brandon Fellows, Brian Jackson, Chris Quaglin, Daniel Rodriguez, Daryl Neely, Dominic Pizzola, Enrique Tario, Ethan Nordine, Israel Easterday, James Grant, Jonathan Manafo, Marcus Malley, Mason Corson, Ryan Samsel, Samuel Lazar, Tim Boehner, William Norwood, Zachary Alam, Zach Reel, Thomas Robertson, Matthew Green, and Michael Stephen Perkins. So that gets us to 51 that we know of, January Sixers who've been through this facility. The last name I listed, Michael Perkins, arrived here just last week. Yeah, June 26th. And we think he was pulled out of Northern Neck Jail around 7/5, so the day after. It may have been on Independence Day, I don't know, but I got the word on June 5th that he was moved to D.C. Sorry, thank you for the correction, July 5th. And I'm hoping he'll call in as well, so we've had a little bit of information from him. The other thing I want to point out, Barry Ramey was sentenced yesterday and today, 2-day sentencing hearing. So it was 3 hours yesterday from 11 till 2, and then they completed it today. 60 months. I'm sure Barry, if he calls, he's going to talk about it, but Barry, his charges, the worst of his charges were assault with a dangerous weapon, pepper spray. He sprayed one individual directly and another one sprayed at him. It's hard to say whether or not that officer actually, suffered from his actions. And then I also want to mention some upcoming dates that I have for sentencing. None real soon that I know of, but we need to update that. It looks like Jonathan Munafo in August 29th and Daryl Neely in September. Why are they sitting there for this long? I just don't understand it.
Cheryl and I were talking about that.
We had dinner on our way over here, and we were sitting down talking about why that is. And it strikes me that some of these guys are getting sentenced barely at the wire of the time that they've already done. And I'm fairly well convinced that that's actually playing into it. It's like, you've already been here, bye-bye, go have a nice life. Pretty close. There's others that are going to be around for another couple of years. And you can't go around spraying people in the face with pepper spray and expect that to go well. Although 60 months is a little bit long for that. But yeah, I think a lot of it is optics. I really do. So that's just my take on it. Anyhow, so not to distract, we don't have any phone calls just yet, but
So that's very strong.
we were reading that card earlier, and it's more and more brazenly obvious that state governments, attorneys, and a whole cast of others are working behind the scenes, infiltrating the schools, implementing, and I've got documentation on this, the equity agenda, and they're actually getting it funded from boards of supervisors. They're approving these budgets. This is disgusting.
So since you've reviewed these budgets pretty closely, are they, actually coming up for discussion?
They are actually coming up for discussion, although it's pretty brief. So like last year when they first, oh, here we go. Never mind. We'll carry on later.
This is a prepaid debit call from
Robert Morse.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse it. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey, Tom Jeffries, this is Andrew Talkie calling.
Andrew, how are you tonight?
Oh, hanging in there. How are you doing?
We're doing well. It's a nice summer evening. A little bit of rain on the way over here, which has passed away, and little humid, but we're loving it out here.
I would take that over this any day. You give me the humidity and mosquitoes, and I'll eat it up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Protein.
So, what's been going on around Northern Neck? Y'all still making any traction in board meetings and stuff, or?
Well, we were just talking about that. I think that there's maybe some activity that we might have impacted in that. There's a gentleman named Michael Perkins that just got brought into Northern Neck on the 26th, and then I think he was gone by the 5th, which happened to be the day of the jail board meeting. So we're not sure, but I hope to get to talk to him. And if you get to meet him, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we may see him. Not sure if he's in the DC system yet or not. So we'll look out for him and let you know if they're in here. So
Okay.
But
Okay. And then I wanted to tell you, Andrew, as well as all of you guys, our second annual Northern Neck Patriots meeting is next week on Tuesday. And if any of you have the opportunity to call in around 7 o'clock, that would be great.
okay, yeah, I'll let Rob know since Rob's the one that pretty much gets us set up for your thing here on this day. I'll let him know about Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
So,
what I'd like to do is do little 3 minutes, sort of like, I don't know, did you do one on the Independence Day, just a short little something?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But it's kind of that same format. Just you take the idea is to get people used to standing up in front of a school board or a board of supervisors meetings. You got 3 minutes. Just put your thoughts together and get it out there. So we're gonna have some fun with that. It'd be great to have you guys participate.
All right. Yeah, I'll talk to the guys about it. Get with Robert and make sure we're set up and ready to go with some guys for you there.
Sounds good.
So just some updates on me.
Good.
There are no updates on me. Same shit every day. Medical care still being slow walked. Who knows if the doctor here is actually going to get anything done. Of course, nothing ever happens quickly. He did seem shocked when I explained to him a lot of the stuff that was happening to me at Lewisburg, and he does not even normally do hormone treatment stuff, and he was still kind of amazed that this doctor got away with some of the stuff that he was doing to me. So, hopefully his heartstrings are tough enough to make him actually want to get things done. but we'll see. I'm not expecting anything. So, and on the case, there is still no new information. I was supposed to go to court on May 31st as well as July 5th, and both of those got rescheduled due to my attorneys not being ready with the doctor to sign on to my case to show the judge how bad things really have been. So I am not anywhere near to medical care or getting the case resolved than I was when I was at Northern Neck. So just the same thing every day.
Wow, sorry to hear that, but it does sound promising that you at least have the doctor who seems to have a heart for what happened. So I
yeah, as long as they speed up the process a little bit. It didn't help that, of course, the blood lab testing place took 3.5, 4 weeks to get my results back. That should have been back in 2 days. So that's definitely put a hamper on things. But we'll see. I'm not expecting anything. It's already been almost 24 months of improper care or no care at all, and that's just kind of the norm. And it's a broken record every time. Maybe one of these years we'll get it all resolved and get home so I can take care of it myself. But
well, I know that's definitely going to happen. I know that. So when you were here at Northern Neck, I think you said when they finally did get things straightened out, you almost always got your meds, 5 days, 4 days, 6 days late. Is that still the case there in DC?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Phone cut out a little bit.
Well, I just remember when you were here at Northern Neck, they finally were giving you your meds, but it was always late.
Late, never on the right schedule. They started getting close to it, and then of course, as soon as anything starts getting close to it, they move me. Same thing with the Lewisburg stuff. At some point, it seems like it's a collaboration between the marshals and the BOP and the DOJ or prosecutors. They always say, "Oh, well, he's getting all the care that he needs," but every time I get close to something, they're going to move me. Which is actually illegal. Once you have these appointments set up, they're supposed to not move you until you actually get the stuff done. So, yeah.
When you finally do get in, I think you got a lot of stuff working in your favor. I mean, it kind of sucks that you have to deal with this physically through all this time, but I think you got a lot that you can use to show just how awful the treatment was. I mean,
as long as lawyers and doctors that work with them stop being, try to find a better word for it, stop being scared and actually stand up and do stuff. Anytime these people hear January 6th, they run from it, and it's ridiculous. You shouldn't even have to say January 6th. This is just an American citizen with constitutional rights that everybody should be fighting for.
Yeah.
Especially from a lawyer standpoint, it's a payday. This payday is no different than any other payday. So, but I'm gonna share this phone call with Mr. Munifo here since we're sharing somebody else's here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off and pass this on to Mr. Munifo, and I look forward to giving you a quick shout on Tuesday. And just thank you everybody for being out there and still fighting for us and for those that have to go deal with Northern Neck. Good luck and everything, and I will speak with you on Tuesday.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. Take care.
All right, have a good one, Tom. Thanks.
Hey, Tom. How you doing, sir? How's everyone?
Doing great. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Well, there's a little tension, I guess you could say, not for me personally, but I'm sure you've already heard. So it's a little tenser than I've ever felt it to be in here. So it's just disappointing, but it's only a period. It just gets washed over anyway.
Yeah. So one of our supporters is asking what you're referring to. I assume you're talking about Barry's sentence?
No, there was well, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to even talk about this, but there's an individual came in here. He was on the news about a week or so, maybe. He was the one that was found outside Obama's home, doing some nefarious thing. I don't recall, but he's also known as the individual who would come down to the vigil here at the DC jail, and he played for an extended period of time Ashley Babbitt's death video out of his van, and Ashley's mom was there, and it's just insane. So they're just how this is going to work out. He's not one of us, that's for sure.
And how? Okay, well, I won't press you for details on that, but we'll check it out. We've got insects all over the place out here. Thanks. I'll do it in a minute. But
are you guys getting eaten up by the gnats out there, the black flies?
Not black flies. That felt like a daddy long legs on the back of my neck or something there. But that must be what it was.
Oh.
But
yeah, the price you pay for us. Thank you.
I can deal with a spider. But
yep.
I was there on Memorial Day and got to join in the walk that Ashley's mom did, that Mickey and the gang did, from the Freedom Fountain on down to the jail, and I got to see you all flicking the lights and that stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, it was great to be part of that and to be there and see what they've been doing every night since August of last year. And I was just amazed, though. There was another individual that I won't give her the benefit of saying her name on a live stream, but just how nasty these people can be and how taunting and like there's icicles in her soul, you know, if she has one. I just cannot believe that people would treat someone else that way.
It's ignorance.
Again, they're on the moral high ground in their own minds, and it's because collectively they all believe the same thing. It creates this false sense of ethical, whatever you want to call it, and it's nothing but well, forgive. I never know if are there children that listen over this. I should be mindful of that.
Well, here's one thing I would say about that. Great question. So it's a small handful tonight. There's just 3 of us. Hopefully, a few more will show up, but. You know, sometimes we have a dozen, but here's the thing to remember: these live streams, even if they're not seen by a whole lot of people right now, they will be eventually. I don't plan to edit a single thing. I don't have the technology to do that or the background to do it. So yeah, you all want to watch exactly what you say,
yes,
but at the same time, this is your microphone. You know,
don't be overly inhibited.
Yeah, this is.
I'll be mindful of that, and I appreciate you saying that. It is important to me not to bring it down. So, and it's a great practice because I'm still practicing this nonsense of language that I get into. So, no, but anyway, it's just like I was gonna say, like polishing a turd. You can only make something look so good, or it's just not gonna work at all, And
I think that's G-rated, so that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting though to see the dynamic and to see how people react to someone like that being in here after they know the torment they put Ashley's mom through and the people outside here at the vigil here. It's understandable.
Yeah, well, for sure. So, well, they're all around us, I guess. So it is what it is, and I think they get paid, but who knows? Maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't know if I touched on this before, but when I was in Denver for the first 3 nights of rioting there for the George Floyd thing, they had they tore it up. I mean, they tore up the whole city. Even the federal building, they threw a bunch of those electric scooters in a pile and lit them on fire, and then the lithium batteries were doing their thing. Wow. Just mayhem. I couldn't handle more than 3 days of it. I just couldn't. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't know how this ties into what we were just saying, so you gotta forgive me. I guess they say that it's just an issue with being locked up, but my short-term memory is it's starting to scare me at this point. I'll be on the trail of something, and I never get right to the heart or the point of what I'm trying to say. It's frustrating, but
I think I get.
But yeah, I mean, it's sad. That's really what it really is. It's just sad. I mean, because we're beyond the point of being able to talk, and I'm not advocating violence at all. But there's how do we fix this? I think that's one of the recurring things in my mind. We've identified the problem, right? This is what we do as men. We acknowledge and identify a problem, and that's the way we move forward and find solutions. And that's just how we're wired. But this one's a tough one. There's so many things working on so many different levels, not just with our cases or our issues, with the other issues in the United States. And since I've been in this jail, I've learned more about the corruption this government, is responsible for than I ever would have imagined. If they told me on my first day of campaigning for Trump it was this bad, I would have said, "There's no way. There's no way." You know, and it's just disappointing.
That's an excellent point, because I think that's part of the awakening process, right? Because most people don't. I run into people all the time. Oh, I don't follow politics, or well, do you follow at least what's going on with your constitutional rights? Can you at least follow that? Because they're stripping them away from you every chance they get. And I think that the January 6 events, and as more and more people find out how poorly they're treating you guys, that's going to bring people from both sides together, because what they're trying to do is divide us. And pick an issue, pick any issue you want, whether it's education, it's sexuality, they're trying to divide us. So and the January 6th, they tried to divide us, and they
You
did
have
a good job.
1 minute remaining.
But anyway, this is your voice, so I'll let you finish.
Well, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm glad at least we get a 1 minute. I'll always be thinking of you and your efforts and what you're giving us the voice. Like you said, you're giving us a voice when we can.
We hope to hear from you next Tuesday night if you get the chance, and I'll talk to Robert about all that.
Sure, yeah, sounds good. You guys have a great night, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
All right, John. Thanks. God bless.
All right, good night, guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.
So he expressed concern about, I'm paraphrasing here, but like the whole country seems to be overwhelmed with all the different angles of division and everything that's going on. And I in an earlier conversation today, I was pointing out that we, the people, haven't even hardly begun to use all the tools and weapons that are in our quiver. The problem is that most people don't know what all of those tools are. I mentioned the other day when we were here, by the very nature of the way this jail is structured and the running of this jail is structured, each county, through the boards of supervisors, are responsible for their share of the burden of this jail. Now, the way it's run, from a monetary perspective, it's kind of a wash, and there's no tax money going here directly from the counties because it's unfortunately a profit center. But the reality is that because each county is responsible for their own, the peoples of each county can put referendums on ballots specifically how this jail is run. We haven't even done that yet. Unfortunately, it takes time, so it's not a quick fix, but it would be a long-lasting fix. All we need, as I was started off saying, is that the people need to be educated, because everybody I've mentioned the word referendum to, with the exception of maybe a small handful of people, they're like, huh? Really? We can do that? Yes, we can. The people can put referendums on their local ballots. So we need to start doing that. People need to get educated as to how that happens, the types of wording you need to put on, how many signatures you need to get something on a ballot, and you need to make it show up on that piece of paper so that some Dominion voting machine can make it no.
That's funny, Maurice. Well, I will steal something from you there. So one of our other huge supporters, Heather, who's probably more active in correspondence with these guys than just about anybody, she received a note. She reached out to Michael Perkins when he arrived here, and this is the response that she shared. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Just to know there are good people out there trying to make a difference means the world to me. My wife told me yesterday that people hold a vigil outside this jail, and I was in tears. Thank you so much for the support. I truly feel the love and prayers from all of you patriots. I'm taking this nightmare one day at a time, and I find strength in the Lord to hold my head high each day. Your support and prayers mean the world to me. Some of my stories on Americans for Justice, if you want to know more, the podcast by Mel Hawley. Thank you so much for reaching out. Happy 4th. And I thought you should know from Heather. So that was pretty cool. As we mentioned earlier, he's not here any longer, so he's probably in the processing delay. Once he got to DC, they usually keep them quarantined for a little bit, and then maybe he'll get to be in with the rest of the population and get to know those guys there, which would be awesome.
Gonna be so.
I have Ryobi fans. I think next week we'll bring a couple of
Those
those.
are great.
Yeah.
Air
Just to
conditioning.
get some,
Yeah.
just to get some airflow.
Yeah.
or
So
whatever.
So we went from last December, I think it was, to 12 degrees or single digits, whatever, out here with a heater, and now we're wishing we had portable air conditioners, but it's not that bad. We'll make it.
Well, the temperature is in the 70s. It's the humidity that's
The humidity.
So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to get on that soapbox about local action equaling national impact. I can't tell you all. I've actually almost completely abandoned anything on social media. I drink coffee and I look at it every day now, but I'm so busy engaging with my local action and all the other things that I don't have time to spend on social media. And there's a lot of people on social media that think that that's where the fight is, I suppose, but I'm getting an awful lot of traction by engaging, learning, putting plans together, coming up with an angle of attack on a particular problem, and believe me, there's many, and just going forward. And now all of a sudden there's more people coming out of the woodwork. It's kind of like that Mark Twain comment, a patriot is a hard thing to come by until after a while he makes progress, and then suddenly there's a lot of patriots starting to show up because it's no longer as risky as it was when you started.
I would agree that there's something about the trailblazer, right? Being the first one out there. But I think part of it is that people have an innate sense that something's wrong, but they don't know what to do about it. Remember how many times when we go around the room at our Patriot meetings and ask people to tell us why they're there, a lot of times we get answers of, well, I just know this country is not the way I expect it to be, and I'm here to learn what I can and find it. So there are a lot of people that feel it in their gut, in their heart, and they know it, but they don't know exactly what to do. So neither do we, right? But this was something that came in our backyard, and we knew that we had to get out here and do something about it. So that's why we're here at the Northern Neck Regional Jail every Friday night.
It really and truly, nobody ever learned to swim without getting wet. So if you're going to do this, you might feel like you don't know what you're doing, but you're dealing with a job that very few people have ever actually done before. So you might as well jump into the deep end and start wading your way around and figure out what you got to do, figure out what your local environment is, figure out the personality types that are actually your boards of supervisors. It's more than just their narrative. They actually are human beings. That doesn't make them good. It makes them human beings that may or may not be driven by various good or bad narratives and agendas. But you got to learn them. You need to go to every board of supervisors meeting, every single one. The special ones that get called out of cycle, as well as the regular ones that come along. You gotta do it. Now, supervisors meeting is going to last anywhere from 2 to 4 hours if it's slightly contentious. Oftentimes you'll get things that get carried over to another day. Those can also be a few hours. But if you're talking about 1, 2, maybe 3 days out of the month, they're usually in the evening, unless you've got a corrupt school board, at which point they're going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning when nobody can actually get to them. But usually they're in the evenings, and you're committing, just think of it as a max of typically 4 hours. Last month I think we got out of one in about an hour and a half. But the point is that if you don't go, you can't really say that you're doing anything.
It would be probably 3 years, maybe 4 years now, that there was a big movement for a Second Amendment resolution in all the counties. So there's 130 counties in the Commonwealth. I think well over 100 have signed on to it. I was part of that petition, handing out the petitions, trying to get people, to sign up and come to the meetings. And it was in Richmond County, where I lived. It was standing room only in the Board of Supervisors meeting. There were speakers that were local. There were speakers that came in from elsewhere. The Board of Supervisors were flabbergasted by the attendance. I don't know that they've ever had that kind of attendance, or if they had, it had been a long, long time. And one of the supervisors' comments after they read the resolution and were kicking it around a little bit, said, "Well, it seems like a no-brainer to me," as he looked around the room. And so they approved it, as did all the other counties in the region out here, in the Northern Neck. Now, we went around, I believe it was 2 years ago, on the First Amendment resolution, and that's a slightly different story.
Hello, this is a prepaid debit call from
Chris.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. From a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Good, Chris. How are you?
All right. Okay.
Good.
No one's listening if I do, so, you know.
Well, that's kind of the point. We're live streaming. We're hoping that someone's going to be listening. If not tonight, they will be listening at some point. So.
Yeah, right now, yeah, I have court, or a trial starting Monday.
Okay.
And my lawyer got put on extremely late. Got accepted into the court extremely late. The judge again denied my application for bail. Yeah, let us get bail for a month. That way I can go and see coagulant for like 8 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, can't do that. Well, let me, and then I can FaceTime them, or not FaceTime, but Zoom them or whatever. Like, throughout the week. No, can't do that. It's your fault for not having a lawyer that's closer to DC.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is also the same judge that said that I should come and let him know if I'm going to do pro se or have a lawyer or whatever. And then the jail locked me in the basement in a cell for about 4 hours and told me that there was no court because it was Emancipation Day, and there obviously was court. So the judge just didn't care. He doesn't care. None of them do. They just want to get it over with and get the ball rolling, get to another, get these J6ers up and rolling with. Because, they don't care. They just want, okay, guys, we're going to sentence to this time, this amount of time to this amount of time. Look at B's. All right, he had the 111 A and B removed, and then instead of getting sentenced that day, it got postponed for some reason. Well, that's because the powers that be said, you can't do that. So they came up with, even though he got removed, the 111 A and B, he still got hit with a dangerous weapon enhancement, which drove his points up, and he got 60 months. So they have a pre-designed
Absolutely.
A pre-designed, I don't even know, a number system that they are going to say, this is what this guy is going to get. No guy's going to get below this, and then no guy's going to get above this. But if you work with the feds, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys who got 2 years, 2 years probation or house arrest, and he had a 111B.
Yeah.
But he worked with the feds. I mean, shit. If I'm still glad for the decision that I did for not working with the feds, but I mean, part of me says, "What if?" You know what I mean?
Yep.
I couldn't look myself in the mirror.
You got to live with that choice, and frankly, I think there's some that they still. Right, there's probably some that got off a lot easier, but it's rigged. I mean, I've been watching these sentencings, and it was actually the one I went to yesterday was painful. Actually, they kept going back and forth over the sentencing guidelines and the enhancements and this and that, and you know, in the end of the day, after going through that hour's worth of back and forth, they kind of come up with what they intended to come up with in the end anyway, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's with,
I'll wait till later.
Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, my big thing is this. Listen, you're going to give me what you're going to give me. But at the same time, and Judge McFadden has been fighting this since the beginning. And this is where any Northern Neck guys come into the sentencing and what have you, that would be greatly appreciated. Because y'all know what I've been through. You've heard it firsthand. And hopefully we're going to get, you know, some other people. But they're going to fight me the whole way as far as giving there's something called a Hard Time Act. And it basically gives you 2 for 1 for the time that you've already served. You know, I think that anyone going through Northern Neck should have gotten that, but especially myself, I can only speak to my own experience.
Well, I can tell you at Nick Brockhoff's sentencing, the judge actually used those words. She when she was getting ready to hand down the final, you know, decision, she talked about the things that he had going for him, which were no priors, whatever, you know, a couple different things I don't remember exactly, but the thing that stuck out, she said, and the whole time you were incarcerated, you didn't get in trouble, and you were at Northern Neck, where that's not easy to do.
Yeah. Well, me, I got like 40-something right up, so. Listen, I'm the only one that I know who got 30 days in the hole for a verbal altercation where no cuss words were used. And I got 30 days in the hole for that.
Wow.
You know, that goes as far as what it is. And I was told specifically that the fight was not my fault that I got into Northern Neck, and that the woman who does not work there, that was the judge, you know, quote unquote judge, hearing officer or whatever, she specifically said that the fight was not my fault, tried to put it over my head, my time over my head, and it was denied by Sergeant Luna. And they were like, oh, no, you're not. Franklin's not getting that over his head. And then they immediately removed me out of A-Pod and threw me in N-Pod. So, you know, it's when the hardest thing is going to be to put it in a few words, you know, and not get cut off by the judge. But I plan on, if he tries to cut me off, I'm going to say, listen, I've done 2.5 years. Now, true, some of this was Joe McBride's fault for not pushing this along because he didn't feel like, you know, doing things like looking at my discovery. But, you know, at the other end, it still doesn't excuse their behavior. So, you know, one of the guys here. I said, man, you guys don't even understand. I treated you a little bit differently. I said, y'all know what the buck chair is? And they said, what? I said, oh, well, it's a great invention. It's a plastic and metal chair that goes around on wheels. That first they beat you down, the guards beat you down, and then they strip you down naked. And then they strap you to this thing while you're still handcuffed. Sometimes behind your back, which is illegal. Sometimes in front. Sometimes they use the straps. But the more you struggle, the tighter it gets. And if you shit and piss yourself, it has a funnel. And they literally don't come and see you for hours at a time, which is also illegal. They're supposed to have a nurse come and check you out. I don't know, however many, minutes or whatever it is. And also, they're supposed to only tighten the straps for X and X, whatever tensile strength. But all this stuff, and then I said, and then they leave you there for hours. I said they left some guys there, and they said they had a drip coming from the second floor, and they left him right underneath that drip, so it dripped just on his head. I said, and they left him there for like 6 hours, 7 hours. Me, they didn't hit me that bad on it, and they were just shocked. I was like, oh yeah, welcome to Northern.
Yeah, well, I've heard of it. I've heard several people talk about it. I understood that that it's not illegal to utilize this device, but there is a time limit on it. And it sounds like
it's like a 2-hour time limit. Yeah. You have to be checked after the first 20 minutes. That's where the guy Jeff Brown got strapped to it so tight. The handcuffs and shackles were so tight that he was little brown skinned, a little bit darker than that, and he showed me the marks like 4 months later, and it looked like he had burns around his wrists and ankles because they were just, black as night, these rings, and they were actually indentation. I guess his body just, didn't go back to normal, or never will, I guess, but worries the people in the hole over there having teams ran in on them for absolutely no reason. One person refused to lock down, and then they made everyone lock down, and one guy had MS, and he didn't refuse to lock down, but they still busted in his room and knocked out his front teeth, broke his collarbone, broke his face with the boots. I got so many stories coming out of that place. So that's the one good thing that happened with all of this, is that I did expose a lot, and you guys exposed even more, but I will continue to expose. Once my notes get out and get into the open, that will it's going to be enough to write a book on. But
that's for sure. That's for sure.
But yeah, if anyone doesn't have anything to do next week, come on by to the courthouse in D.C. Bring your boots, because you're going to the swamp. And,
yeah, I've made that. I haven't been to a trial yet, so maybe yours will be the first. I've been to 4 or 5 sentencings, and the thing I tell everybody out here, it is the swamp, but it's not that hard to slip in and out if you know what you're doing. So it's about a 2.5 hour ride from here to up there. So I'll try my best, Chris.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'll be the only one who's not wearing a black suit. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you and I'm going to be in the bright orange jumpsuit, but we will. It is what it is, man. At this point, they already got their mind set up. Like this whole thing is just a sham. Anyone, even the liberal news media, is looking at this and going, "There's cocaine found in the White House." Like, come on, guys. It's just everything that we were saying for years and years. I mean, going on now 3 years, right? About 4 years about the Hunter Biden laptop. It's funny. You look at my discovery, and my discovery is 2.5 years old, and a bunch of the memes are Biden's laptop matters. You know, BLM. In the BLM colors, you know, black, white, black, and it's Biden's laptop matters. And it's just like, we knew forever. Now, that right there, they knew about it. They didn't say anything about it. They kept it hush-hush.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And you take a national poll of Democrats about, you know, a year ago, and you said, listen, do you know, or before all this Trump stuff, listen, would that have changed your vote? I guarantee 30 to 40% have voted for him, say, absolutely. So, and they haven't even shown all the underage porn that's on it.
No.
They haven't even shown all that stuff.
Right.
So, anyway, guys, thank you. God bless. And wish me luck.
God bless you. You'll be in our prayers, and we'll try our best to be there with you, okay?
All right, guys, anyone listening, give send go G24 BK. That's golf 24 Bravo Kilo. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Good night.
So when is this? What day is it?
Monday, you said.
His trial starts Monday. So he's all right. So let me see on my phone.
Yeah, and if you want to take one of these calls, I think that would be great, but it's up to you.
Honestly, I don't feel secure. That's my weak spot.
I don't quite. You've got a relationship with these guys. You know them, and it's.
Well, but you're starting to.
That's true.
You guys have been here. I mean,
that's
gosh,
true.
You guys have,
so I had a thought while he was speaking, and the sentences, the outcomes do seem predetermined, and it's slightly different story. But I recall a time when we had mountains and mountains of evidence that no judge would look at that an election had been stolen. No judge even looked at it. 70 or so cases, nobody looked at it. And then all of a sudden, the fact that nobody looked at it was an argument in the media that it didn't really happen. So, fast forward, we've got a bunch of J6ers that are actually innocent of just about anything. And now all of a sudden, they're getting sentenced for breathing. And in just a few months, after a large number of them have been fraudulently sentenced, the news media is going to use that fact as, you see, it was an insurrection. That's exactly what happened, because all these guys were convicted and sentenced for it. So it must be true that it happened. No, the insurrection happened on November 3rd, 2020. Anyhow, so I'm just seeing patterns here that, you got judges that wouldn't look at stuff, therefore that narrative was erased. You got sentences happening, and therefore the event did happen.
Prepaid debit call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? This is Zach Real calling in. Just wanted to give you guys a call and let you guys know.
Hey,
Appreciate
Zach.
all you guys.
Hey,
Everything
Zach.
you guys are doing out there.
Yeah. So this is Tom Jeffries. Have we talked before, Zach?
No, I don't believe we have. One of the guys in here asked me if you're interested in giving a call to you guys. I heard you guys are doing a vigil. So I'm sure, why not?
Great.
I was over in Northern Neck for a little bit, so I just wanted to let you guys know I appreciate everything he's done to get us out of there, and appreciate the fight you guys keep
closed down completely. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that would be the end goal, right? But if we can at least maybe make some change in the meantime and get some public oversight here, that's what we're really trying to do right now, because what?
Yeah, oh yeah, closing the building down is just a figure of speech, just a joke.
Right.
But when I was over there, there's a regular inmate there, not a Jan 6 or anything. He said to me, this is the building where the government throws you so that way they can torment you and forget about you. And we weren't even. That wasn't even a Giant Sixer dealing with that. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was horrible. That people are having to go through that every single day over there. It's a terrible place, and I don't think anybody deserves to be there. So.
Agreed, 100%. We've heard that plenty of times, and this is not the purpose of a regional jail, is to throw you in and throw away the key. I mean, and so they've skated here because it doesn't cost the local counties anything because of the federal contracts that they have.
Right.
And so therefore they don't look into anything. They just kind of ice the cake over, and what happens underneath is just don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible. I think people knew what their tax dollars are going to, then they'd be a little more outraged, and it's wrong. So I mean, hopefully he's continue to fight over there and make some big change, positive change.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay out here until that happens. Until you guys get your justice, which is going to happen eventually.
Oh yeah.
Zach, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Philadelphia. I've been locked up for about the last over 2.5 years. First year and a half, I was over in FDC, Philadelphia, the general population the whole time. And then, when they decided, to get a little bit closer to trial, they moved me to Alexandria, where I spent 8-9 months in solitary confinement, because all of a sudden I'm too dangerous to be around the regular population, which makes absolutely no sense after spending the first year and a half with general population. Then they moved us up to Lewisburg after some people helped, pressure the Alexandria jail to get us out of there, because, like I said, we should have never been in solitary confinement there. We're not a threat. We weren't violent or anything like that. We weren't even accused of being violent, but we're being treated worse than the Lockerbie bomber, who was in general population. And for anybody who doesn't know what the Lockerbie bomber is, he's the mastermind behind blowing up an entire airline flight, killing, I think, 75 Americans. Now, while he was allowed to walk around the general population in Alexandria, we were locked in solitary confinement, treated like terrorists. So, but now here we are in D.C. Finally made it to D.C. after a 1-week stint in Lewisburg. I'm sorry. In between all that, I was in transit from Philadelphia to Alexandria. That's when I stayed at Northern Neck. I was there for about a month. So, but yeah, and 5-month trial, long trial. It was a hostile DC jury. They can't really comment too much on it because we got sentencing coming up. I'll say that the day I die.
When is your sentencing, Zach? Do you know?
Yeah, mine's August 31st.
Okay, good. We're keeping track of that because we're trying to come up and support you guys as much as we can.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, well.
Yeah, it's a long flight, but we're already planning on appeals because we have this sedition charge, which is a bad precedent to set to boot. We don't want to allow the government to be able to start charging people with a seditious conspiracy for just going to protests. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, the fact that they even got away with it with us, it's just a miscarriage of justice, basically. But we're going to fight it, and we already hired lawyers to do so, and we'll take it to the Supreme Court if we have to.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't have to, but we will.
I hope you do.
Someone out here said, "I hope you do." I don't know. I mean, that's a long battle, but man,
yeah.
I hope that the court of public opinion comes around here as people start to understand what you guys have been going through, and I think that's starting to get out more and more.
you know, some people granted don't even know what January 6th is, but those people are completely asleep on everything. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think that a good platform is going to be the debates. You know, obviously, the Republican debates are coming up, and then I think the general election is going to focus a lot on this. Obviously, the left is going to want to talk about Joe Biden's horrible presidency, so you know they're going to want to bring up January 6th, and I think it's an extraordinary opportunity for us to, you know, highlight the atrocities that's happened, and hopefully be able to push some change one way or the other, you know.
Yeah, that's a great comment. I hadn't thought that through, but you're right. They almost don't want to open that Pandora's box, right? There's so many stories of not only, you know, how you were mistreated to begin with at January 6th, you know, and what they did to the crowd there, but then what's happened to you guys in your lives afterwards. It's just unfathomable.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, like I said, I mean, hopefully some good comes out of this in the end. But you know, in the meantime, we just gotta, you know, stay persistent and keep fighting. You know.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. Zach, I'm really glad you called, and I want to give you a chance to say anything else you want to get out there. But keep my number and call anytime you want, and definitely want to follow you and what's going on with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody listening, if they want to follow us through with our case, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Truth Social. You know, under Defend Zach, you can search Defend ZACH. Or you go to defendzach.com, and you know, you can help support our fundraiser there. Goes towards all legal fees and everything. The long legal battle we're going to fight. You know, but you know, if you just want to follow along and, you know, follow our Twitter page, that's cool too, because you know we need all the support we can get, and sometimes the share is all that matters. You know, share our stories out, share you know, any news that comes out, and you know, if that's all you can do, then that's fine. You know, it go a long way sometimes. So
I agree.
Like I said, all the support helps.
What I always tell people, this is your platform, Zach. I mean, your voice is your most powerful tool, and it will have an impact. It might not be, you know, before your sentencing. It might be after, but you guys are making a record. Every single time you guys call out and go on record and talk about your experiences, it's a timestamp on it that I think in the end, when they look back at this and they put this all together, I think it's going to be very powerful that you guys have been singing the same tune for over 2 years. You know, this is day 911, you know? So.
Yeah, exactly. And to go to your point right there, I mean, like, if you followed the government's narrative, their story has changed every single corner that they've had an opportunity to. Like, we've proved them wrong here, and they've changed their story. And the amount of times that they've changed their story over the last 2.5 years is insane. You know, especially during our whole trial process, they've changed their stories. So, like, the consistency on our end, it's going to speak volumes in the long run. You're right, and it's a very good point you make right there. But yeah, people are going to see that one day, and I look forward to that day, obviously. But you know, so just going to keep doing our thing here, keep telling our side of the story, and hope more people listen, and hope more people share it out there. You know, the more people find out and hear about this, the better. So I'm not going to keep you any longer, sir. I appreciate you having me on. So I'm going to cut off and everything, but you know, keep up the good fight out there for us, and you know, we appreciate every bit of it. All right.
You betcha. God bless you, Zach. Thanks for calling.
God bless you too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty rough.
They have it worse.
They do.
You know, one of the things that's in the 30-page packet that we got from here is all of their financial expenditures in and out. So everything down to, you know, insect treatment, whatever, you know. So I want to really look into the HVAC issues, because I know last year they had the HVAC this time of year shut down completely in certain areas in there, and the guys were sweltering. The fans didn't have any air moving at all.
and then they did something, got it back on again, and that's when the black mold came out of the ducts, and they were all coughing and hacking. So there's a record there too of HVAC service records. I want to understand what's going on, because if they've got, I've been in the building trade my whole life. People build things cheaply sometimes. They build them wrong, and they can be dangerous. Indoor air quality is a big deal, especially when you've got 400 to 500 people in here.
Yeah. You would think if HVAC was important to them that they might actually have a backup system, but no. So right now I'm fuming because I looked at an email that I shouldn't have.
That'll work. That'll happen. Thanks.
Yeah, I write all underneath. Anywhere you get it in, it's great.
So I got a whole binder of this just to kind of keep record, because
Every Friday.
yeah, what it helps me to go back and say, sometimes I can go back and review, especially if somebody says something really poignant that I want to get it down, so I'll actually jot that down. But what we really need to do, I said I don't grab some of the most impactful little bit of statements, not the whole thing, but I envision a collage of all these guys talking about this
I just
place.
had that same thought about 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Because I'm thinking of the future documentary that may come out in, say, 2025.
Yeah.
And this stuff is going to be part of it.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much here.
Oh, my God, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
And I was talking earlier about that whole pattern recognition thing. It's an inverse version of what happened with the judges turning everything down, but it's the same. It's a mirror image of it. On the one hand, you can't get a judge to look at it. On the other hand, you got a judge that's sentencing a large number of these guys, which is going to feed into a future attempted narrative that says, you see, it really was an insurrection on January 6th. All these guys.
And to all you trolls out there who have no kahunas whatsoever, bring it on.
Yeah.
Can you do that again? That was a nice breeze.
I guess John's not coming today, huh?
He hurt his back yesterday. He's just taking it easy.
How's his dad?
I think stable, because he didn't bring that up today, so that must be the case.
That's good.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
You got short hair. My hair is
So, as I was saying earlier, I had another meeting with some folks on a different topic today, and I told them when I left that I was going to be busy this evening, so I'd be unavailable. And I told them where I was going to be, and they each looked at me and said, "Really? Those guys that they're heroes." This is people that aren't part of the Northern Neck Patriots. This is a different group of folks that are apparently very aware of what's going on and the injustice that's happening. And their hearts are with us. They're not here today at the moment, but it's clear to me anyways that there's a lot of people that are aware. There's a lot of people that have the J6ers in their thoughts and prayers, and to the greatest degree possible, because this is a 1,000-front war. They're doing what they can. So I just hope that somebody captures that, and that all J6ers are aware that everybody's paying attention. The number is growing, and it's going to continue to grow for a while. And at some point, we're going to achieve critical mass. Awoken.
Yeah.
There's not really a tree nearby.
I looked down water, I'd have the car in warm.
Take the sling off because it was so hot. So it didn't make any sudden movements. I hope you get to sing with the J6ers at 9 o'clock. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it was good. $8:15.
This was so hot, I have to
Yeah.
get it off.
Next time we're bringing the fans.
Get hung on the ranch or something.
They're handy. I used to use one whenever I'd be working down inside of a boat or somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Because especially this time of year, it's just unbearable. You know, you can't last.
They had a special like a year or two ago with Home Depot and the fans, and you buy something and you get another thing free. So I got, I think, 3 of these Ryobi fans, and they come in handy.
They work out really well out on the deck.
And that's the light that I bring is a Ryobi.
Yeah.
They're very bright and they last a long time.
But I'll tell you something about it. Don't buy off-market batteries. They're not good for you.
Not good for you.
No, not good for you.
They are not the same. So we got a few.
Just got to buy the Ryobis and just go try to.
Was it Jonathan that said about the BLM rides they went to and they were piling the little scooters, electric scooters up together, and they were lighting them on fire, and the batteries were.
That's part of the charade. We don't have. Or the cleanest energy, if everybody wanted to get really clean, is nuclear. But all the protesters of the other generation of protesters protested against that. So even Tennessee had to reduce the number.
Can you get that little black bag that I have in front? I need my head pad. You don't have to do that. I can't with my left arm. So I can't take my hair off. Yeah, so it's impossible to do with one hand.
Yeah.
So I wear like sometimes what I call a headband. So I can put it on, just lift it up and it's nice.
Well, have you been back to the doctor since I saw you
I
last.
had to physical yesterday. Yesterday I had physical therapy because good. Actually, I felt really good last night after it. But I can't. I'm not supposed to lift my arm without assistance for a month. Then after that, I with assistance, that would be another month.
Assistance meaning lift it with your other hand.
Like right now, if I want to lift my arm, he has to lift it, and I can't assist. After a month, I'll be able to help get it wrong. So I can't get it past a certain. I mean, I can't get it up on my own. I use my fingers, but still.
Are you familiar with the Tuesday morning group?
I'm aware of them, and I know that like Janelle, she's part of that.
Okay. As Bob Felix told us one time, it's the fastest hour and a half, 90 minutes, whatever it is that you'll ever spend. It might be 2 hours. Yeah, it's 2 hours. But so for instance, here's the lineup for this Tuesday. Bob Good. And then this is a new ad right here. That might be the school board people that you had mentioned. I'm not sure. So you want me to send that to you?
Yeah, if for no other reason than to be aware, because as you probably already think you're aware, my days are not empty. But and that's one of the things that I got frustrated with that email that I shouldn't have looked at. I'll share details with you here. So as you're aware, I tend to open my mouth at Board of Supervisor meetings and other board meetings. Well, I get a phone call from a guy, 2-3 weeks ago, telling me that a group of people got together and thought that it would be a really good idea to get a presentation for a member of the Board of Supervisors because he can spend 15 to 20 minutes on it. Are you with us? I'm like, well, sure, I'm good with that concept. Well, fast forward to 2 or 3 days ago, I get an email from him, so how's that coming? I'm like, wait a second, at no point did you can't say we have a team doing something and then point at me as being the only guy doing something. Before, no. So I haven't been doing.
Took a while, huh?
I haven't been doing anything, and because he sent me that email, I just said, okay, I'm done. I was trying to give you advice. You're the one that sent me a slide deck that you were already working. At no point did you say, you've been working long enough, you've experienced the same thing before, I'm sure. But it just pisses me off.
Well, it's setting expectations is not not a strong suit of some people. It's just, well, I talked to you about it. Yeah. That's about as far as it went.
Yeah. So I've got to figure out how to wait. There's my own personal reception of his bullshit message. Then but he's kind of a newcomer. So after he sends me this email and says, "Are you?" I said, "Sure." Okay. Then he starts giving me information, data points, all these numbers and everything, and I'm thinking, I sent Lynn an email. I said, "Lynn, this guy is giving me information that I've been sitting on. He's clearly being way the hell over his head. He doesn't." And I know what he is. He's one of these guys that likes to come up to you and share a tidbit of information with you. Like it's the biggest epiphany in the world, and you really need to know this. Come on, man. Stop it. I'm okay with it if it turns out that nobody else is going to do it, and I think Lynn's already working on something. But I'm not going to count on that because I still have to come up with my own words, so I can just come up with 15 or 20 minutes worth of words and carve out 4 minutes worth for myself. It's not hard. But then I've done thousands of PowerPoints. That was actually a good practice too. When I was working at the government, early on, part of your, when you're green, I don't remember exactly how long that was, but there's certain things that every new hire had to go through. And giving a presentation was one of them.
Yeah, makes sense.
And everybody has to be able to do it.
Yeah, I've been through so many different, training sessions and this and that, and I don't know. A lot of them they didn't really help my communication style. When you get together, the group, and then somebody's got to report out, from the group.
Those are two totally different jobs.
They're different, yeah.
I know when I first started, and he knows this, when I get nervous, I stutter. It wasn't funny.
That's not what I'm laughing at. It's not what I'm laughing at.
So I learned, slow down and whatever. I think I'm better at it now, but people don't know that I stutter.
Her gauntlet, her first gauntlet, Fairfax County Board of Supervisors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you're on TV and you have everybody, she's not good. I mean,
That was her.
big,
That was her trial by fire. Was to deal with the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine what that. I don't know that I know I've never been to a board meeting, but I've been to the county offices, and I think I've seen them on television.
They all have 14 or 15 foot high ceilings.
Yeah.
well, it's recorded or sent
Yeah,
out
and
on
it's live streamed.
Channel 13 or something like that, so everybody could see it.
It's not. I don't know how Richmond County or the other one counties, but in Northumberland County, it's Zoom. Whereas in other counties like King George County, you can zoom in if you want. I hate Zoom because it's not secure, but you can zoom in if you want, or you can just turn your TV to the right channel because it's just live. It's sitting there. In fact, if you tune that channel when they're not having a meeting, it's just a camera looking up at the podium.
Oh, okay. So we were talking about this. They record these. Obviously, you hear them. When they say. Now they say recording.
It's recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it recording or is it live going somewhere that's accessible? I don't know, but it would be nice to.
It has to be going somewhere because if it wasn't, those guys wouldn't.
Well, I agree. The Rappahannock Record picked up when the first or the next sentence went in here and attended the first meeting and wrote an article about it. So they were able to access it. So we just figured that out.
That's another thing. You go to these board meetings and you don't know who's listening.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one of my first diatribes, I guess 2 or 3 years ago at the County Board of Supervisors. It got picked up. Oh, it was when your mom was still on the voter rolls 5 years after passing away. So, some guy from Newsbreak, I don't know if you're familiar with Newsbreak.
Yeah.
Was on the thing. I have no idea who's on there because I'm just walking up to the microphone and talking. And this guy wrote a really nasty article. He says, "Oh, there's just a bunch of leftist BS." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" My mother-in-law is still on the freaking rolls 5 years after she's dead. That's not leftist BS. Anyways, I guess after a while you don't even need thick skin. You recognize it for what it is. So I guess I'm going to have to talk to Jim Penny tomorrow.
Don't mention names.
I think the microphone's turned off.
That could pick up.
Whatever. What's he doing tonight? He's probably sitting down and kicking down a few.
Disregard that last comment.
That's that's one of those lines that they tell juries. The jury will disregard. Like, how do you do that? How do you tell human beings to ignore what they just heard?
Yeah.
So I was thinking while you were talking to what's his name, taking the notes. Was it Cloudman that said that? Anyways, and we were talking about the future documentary, and it kind of made me think that it would probably be good if we had like a relatively one of the tables from the VFW. A few chairs on this side, actually everybody facing the camera, and a couple of microphones. I could buy another one for this setup. Just sitting on the table so that you wouldn't have to hold it unless you're doing the phone thing. Even then we could probably do something about that. But I think it was
I don't know if I tried that or not, but
you got a little 2.5 inch or 2.5 millimeter audio port on that phone, where you would plug in like a headset.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be able to plug something in right there, and then just plug it in on the back side.
That would make it a lot easier having the stand, but then again, they need to be able to hear you. This is just a speaker, I think. That other little blue speaker I brought could be both.
You have one like that too.
There's also another thing. Does this thing do Bluetooth?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen headsets that do that, both of those, phone and the speaker. So I guess we got to do a little bit of shopping.
Yeah, there's also a little tiny puck thing that's like a conference table, portable thing that you just you don't even. I don't think you even have to connect it to your laptop or your phone. But those are pretty handy. Yeah, you're right. That would make it easier. Standing here like that when the bugs are crawling.
Yeah, exactly. I got bugs crawling all over both of my forearms.
Well, it's probably.
I hate the spray worse.
I know, I hate spray too.
So there's a lot of things happening.
Just think about that ticket when you go home.
Yeah,
it's in the wrong place.
Oh, no.
I would. It's like the other day we were in here, and I remember as soon as I said, you go look at the second paragraph of the Sixth Amendment, and it's in there. Punishment while you're pre-trial is not part of the game. You don't get to do that. And I saw Johnny Beecham, go just type it in and he starts scrolling down to the Sixth Amendment and he's reading it. And it was somebody else that you saw who was kind of looking things up. I don't know if it was the same thing.
I saw somebody writing down, as I was speaking, they were writing the name down that I
yeah.
Perkins. So they might have checked into that.
To me, and this is the fault of most Americans, they don't think about what goes on in a jail and whether or not the Constitution should stand in a jail. And yet, you go through the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, more than half of them are about this very situation.
Well, we were talking earlier that people who, the turnover of people in the jail, people come here to thinking they're going to do something good for the community, for the county, or whatever. And they only find out that it's bad things are happening. just the opposite of what they think is good. What they're good for. They think they're doing good. They find out it's not good.
I don't remember who I told this to. It might have been in DC yesterday, but I said that when you go to that jail board meeting, might as well put that on.
So I don't know if people can hear this or not, but we're chatting about, you know, what goes on behind these walls here. And there are some really good people here that are committed to their jobs, committed to their work, committed to, you know, helping people get through this. And when we were at that board meeting on Wednesday, it was very, I don't know what word to use, congenial maybe. It was just like a very nice meeting, nice group of people. You know, there was a quarterly award that was a surprise to the recipient, employee of the quarter award. And it was just
professional jibing, by the way, by the people towards the person that couldn't make it.
Oh, right. Yeah. And it was just really, you know, nice group of people. And then you think about what goes on and how these guys are talking tonight about butt chairs and heads broken and teeth knocked out, and, you know, so it's almost like there's two different pools of circulation here. This one up here and that one that's buried down there. That's the big one that takes care of 400 to 500 people. Yeah, it's two different worlds.
It's truth, and it's not, you know, made up stuff. What they want you to hear and what is really happening.
What are we doing here for time? Another 25 minutes. You guys up for sticking around to
Might as well.
do the national anthem?
I'm only sweating out the 2 beers I had for dinner. I'll have to go home and drink more.
There you go.
Water.
Test.
And then a larger screen at the VFW. So if we did that one, who gets to own it if for some reason A&P vaporized and we had purchased things, who gets to keep goods?
I don't know. The screen that's in there is one I donated from office that I
Okay.
go down. So I don't really care, you know, in the end.
Well, and they seem to still be cheap, even big ones.
That's what you're after, is the big ones. And
So I can see it.
Well, everybody.
I have that, my father's screen. That's probably about the same size as what you have now, right?
Your father's screen? You're talking about a projector screen.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a TV.
TV screen.
Big screen TV.
Okay.
And some kind of, but something like this thing hooked up to the TV would help tremendously. In fact, this thing here outperforms the speaker system of the VFW.
Yeah, this is good. In fact, we'll probably use this. What made me think about is I need a microphone stand between now and Tuesday, because you know you don't get to hold it when you go to the supervisors meeting. You need to have it up here, and people can come up and adjust it up and down and do all that, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the deal. You got to get used to that.
Yeah, you're used to that. I used to be nervous getting on the podcast.
No, it's just a picture. That's a text. My dad's ringer is the same as his phone. Text a phone.
Oh, Jesus.
So he doesn't differentiate. He grabs them all, but no matter when.
One of the things I learned when cell phones came along, and I wish I would have known it before they came along, just be because the phone rings doesn't mean you have to answer it. But back in the day when the wall was where the phone was, and if you answered it, you were tethered to the wall with whatever it was. And everybody if the phone rang, everybody in the house was racing for the phone to get that answer.
You don't have to race for the phone. How many times it rings and you run down the stairs, finally get to it.
It stops. But, you know, we don't even have a house phone anymore. We don't have one. But we did for a while.
Yeah, everything you got is,
Yeah, it was just phone solicitors, and none of our family ever used it.
That's what my folks did too. They had the same number up until about 3 years ago, maybe 2, that they had since I was 6.
Okay.
And then they finally got phones, and then they finally got smartphones, and realized that there wasn't a great need for a landline, except for in a storm. But then again, in a storm, your landlines often go down too. So
On that one. Facts that people don't seem to know. Required to operate at 6 nines. Even in a storm, 6 nines. That's 99.999% of the time. That means it could be down for about 15 seconds a year.
wow.
Even in a storm. So
that's a condition of being able to use that, have that service, and
yeah,
it's got to be reliable.
it's got to be extremely reliable. It's one of the most onerous requirements I've ever seen because it's expensive to maintain. Anyhow, so what I did is I got a little Yagi antenna, directional antenna that points right at the tower, because without it you don't have a signal, but with it we get like 3 and 4 bars. And if my internet actually goes down because the power's out, if I got battery power on my phone and I get battery power to that Yagi antenna, I still get 100 megabits per second.
Wow.
That was money well spent. That and Starlink.
Okay, that's what you use where you are.
For internet, yeah. I had other options. Actually, I got 2 of them. So we've got, I don't know if you're familiar with what used to be called Golden Net Wi-Fi. Basically what it is it's a WAN, a Wi-Fi WAN, with poles and antennas and stuff throughout the community that just transmit and receive Wi-Fi. So you connect to it. Well, they've got one of those poles and antennas on one of our properties, and we charge them $300 a year plus the passive scan. But that's the second thing. I want an email server. The thing about using it as a dummy web server so that I could do something with NNRJ's website, set this down with it. Fortunately, we didn't go where the bank on it, but it seems. By the way, is Gary the guy that put together the website, the same Gary that said we can use the basement at VFW? Okay, cool. I thought it was him. Haven't seen him at a meeting in a long time.
He's gotten real busy. I actually ran into him in the local store the other day, and it was RW Sports Shop. So he was chilling, just looking around at this and that. That's kind of a fun thing to do.
That's what I do when I'm in RW.
Yeah, on a hot day, he was out riding his bike, and he's telling me he's got 2 clients, I think. One client he's got a contract with, and then another client he's got 2 contracts with or something. So he didn't go into a lot of detail what kind of consulting he's doing, but you probably know a little bit about his background.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's pretty busy. Very busy. But,
Yeah, I could be doing that.
But did I mention it earlier? It was because of his putting together that Facebook site that Tammy Perryman up at the DC Vigil was able to get a hold of me by getting a hold of him through Facebook, and then that's what started the first vigil out here. So that little bit of work that he did, you know,
paid off.
yeah, I mean, and that's a message to the rest of our membership. You know, you don't know what's going to happen until you start doing things and you start making these connections, because
Exactly.
we wouldn't. If
That's our story.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, because it started off, but you already know that we've been members of OUR for a while. We took their training. I was part of my annual training. I bitched about it at the time. That was always a significant part of each government employee's annual training, so they know that it's
You could go on their website and there's a training and stuff about you see all these recordings.
But anyhow, we had that, and Johnny Beecham was supposed to talk to the Republican committee one night about trafficking and how it works, what it is, all that stuff for the Republican committee. Well, he had something else come up and he couldn't be there, but we had showed up just for that purpose. She walks in with one of her binders of information and all this stuff. Next thing you know, they were talking to us a little bit because we had never been there, and Marion, the chair, she said, so you're going to do the talk tonight, huh?
Yeah, but we had nothing planned, and it went really well, because he'd start and then I thought of something that would take over. So
I tell a lie and she corrects me.
It's really smooth, because, you know, it's like this character.
That's great. That's good teamwork too.
And that's how we met Suzanne. And she was there that night. She gave us the NNP card. Shit. She gave us the NNP card. We're like, oh yeah, I need to go see this. So we came to our first meeting, and I'll be honest with you, if I had to drop one or the other, I'd drop the committee before I'd drop NNP. There's a whole lot more passion going on in NNP.
But you still have to know what's going on.
You have to keep yourself educated. That's one of the problems that I know there's a few folks that have work all day long.
Coffee and cookies, you know, have your coffee and cookies. How you can support them.
Yeah, I'm not interested in supporting Robert. He's not getting my vote. He'd be lucky if I don't vote against him. All he had to do was say, I don't know, pick somebody. One of the other guys' names during that Speaker of the House vote. It was a show to begin with. It was all predetermined. All he had to do was make it look like, just for one of the votes, that he wasn't supporting McCarthy. My God, we've got a California politician as the Speaker of the House again.
See that bat?
Yeah. Will you take care of that beetle that was flying over?
I don't know. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Is Hillary Hugh Kent unopposed? Do you know?
So far, it looks like that. I'm not aware of anybody that's doing anything productive as far as the campaign is concerned. Hillary's got signs everywhere. Yeah. And not just small ones. You go down the road here, you get up there where there's a tire shop down there. Anyway, so just before you get to it, there's this big billboard on the side of the road there, and it's her. It's her sign. I was okay. I know she but it's the first time she's ever run.
I think that's what.
But I can also tell that she's got some serious expertise behind her.
Yeah.
That's obvious. So she hit the sign thing early. There's not even time for that. But she's already doing it. And that means that she'll do it again.
Well, she was sort of the anointed one from Margaret, right? So it's the day that the article came out that Margaret was not going to run again.
Yeah, and
Same article.
Turn the page and it's over, yeah. I don't have a problem with it. She has some. I just hope that she'll listen to us.
That's what we want.
And I hope that she's got. Oh, I heard Martin Taylor Greene got kicked off of the committee.
I didn't understand why. All I saw was
apparently her and Lauren Boebert got into it verbally, and Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of makes it a point of pointing out absurdity, and nobody is immune. So she's probably done a few people in that particular committee. I don't remember which one it was, but it's like it's not a major committee. But I was kind of taken aback because I don't know what the contents of the Green's argument was. I don't even know what prompted it. So, but it'd be nice to know because I can't imagine somebody like Lauren Boebert going around to somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene without a damn good reason. That had to be a big discussion, or a big disagreement. I saw that, I was like, I got that gal on Substack. There's several of them. I do know the other one. When did you talk about it on? Emerald. Yeah, that's it. Emerald. I get frustrated with that one because, in principle, I don't mind paying for good content. The problem is that I can't afford to buy all of the good content. And if I gave everybody $5 a month, I wouldn't be able to eat. Now, some people would say that's not a bad thing. But it gets a little bit harsh. And I know I want them to keep doing their job, but I have to be pretty selective about who I give my money to.
Well, if you ever see something you want to know more about, let me know because it's free for me to share whatever she publishes.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What's her last name? Emily. She's a DC reporter. She worked for Fox briefly, and she wrote a book called Emily Gets Her Gun, and it was about.
I think I've read some of it.
Yeah, how she went about getting a license in DC and how. It took her, I think, over a year to be able to do that, just to be able to possess a handgun license. I'm sorry, I can't remember her last name. But
That's the Second Amendment is a real sore spot with a lot of people, and that innate argument. You don't need an AR-15.
Right.
Usually, what that actually means, if you want to translate it, the person that makes that comment is the one that doesn't need it. They don't have the right or the authority to tell somebody else that they don't. There's some people that read an article and go, oh, so there's 100 million guns in this country. Another article, oh, there's 300 million guns. I went to the FBI, there's 900 million guns in this country, privately owned. If the guns were a problem, none of us would survive.
yeah, I had one of those on my refrigerator. There's however many 100,000 guns plus however many zillion rounds of ammunition. Exactly right.
Yeah. And then you know the FBI keeps track of an awful lot of stuff that goes counter to a lot of the narratives around. The weapon of choice for murder? Knife. By about 3 times.
They're everywhere. They're in everybody's kitchen.
Yes, they are. Bats are awesome.
They are awesome.
Their guano stinks.
I don't know because I've never gotten close enough to one.
Where did I live? There was a whole colony of bats under this small bridge. Where was that? I think it was up in Forest Hill, California. Anyway, so there was this, they had been there long enough, so there was just this pile of guano on the ground underneath where they all hung out, literally. And it stunk. Almost as bad as turkey poop.
Well, our call has degenerated.
It has.
Daniel had to use the word turd earlier, so that's why we're talking about guano
I can't believe
and
that
turkey.
guy-
Well, we got a few more minutes and then it's national anthem time.
Okay. Last week was a treat. We've both been talking about it ever since then. That was a true treat. And you know, I got one grandson to tell that to. He's not old enough yet. He has no clue what's going on. No clue.
It is pretty powerful.
It's amazing, especially when you deeply understand why they're where they are, and here they are doing that in spite of all of it.
Yeah, I kind of take it for granted at this point because we've been doing it that long. But yeah, what a symbol of don't push me down.
The character that these guys have, even if they didn't have it before they got there, and I think Robert Morris is at least partially responsible for some of it. He's too much of a leader. He's not going to sit idly by and do stuff. So who exactly authored the code of conduct?
That was Robert. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That code of conduct is amazing. The fact that it exists is amazing.
Right.
And
I think, I brought it up a couple of times on certain calls, and I think he was surprised and maybe a little impressed that we remembered it. And like, yeah, we remembered it.
you have any idea how awesome that is? And that's why I make the comment, to that one guy. It's like, your unity that you guys have, that's a huge weapon. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah. Now, having said that, they have the unity of all being, in the same scenario, for them being in the same place. They don't all necessarily get along that well.
Understood.
I heard an interview of a guy recently who basically said, well, I probably wouldn't really hang around with you guys outside of this situation because I'm all about my family, my grandkids, and so on. But while we're here together, so I don't remember what he said exactly.
I get the point.
Yeah, it was a little rude in a way, but at the same time, I don't think he was judging anyone. He was just saying, "Hey, I'm just not that kind of guy."
Did you do any time in the military?
No.
I did. And I understand it completely. There's guys that are fist in their face, but if they were in trouble while we were there, I'd be all over them, helping them out. So for the time being, as long as this thing happens, that same guy is going to be with his, even though if he was free, he wouldn't. And that's just like any other general throughout history. The Romans would go out and get some farmer who had a lot of war experience, making the general go out and fight a war, and then send his ass back home to his farm, and you wouldn't see those guys. And that's the way it's always worked until we come along and create this industrial machine.
Yeah.
So this gal one of the gals I was working with today, we need to talk to her. She knows a lot about what's going on. A lot.
She worked at the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had lunch with two women. They went out to dinner and
Go out to dinner and the waitress is helping my wife put my suspenders back on because I stood up and one of them popped down.
so the other one's putting his pants on.
All I could say to my wife after her comment, this one here that she just made, is I'm a lucky man.
I couldn't make it to the meeting this afternoon with him.
Yeah. I hate that the guy that suggested that we do this thing for a particular member of the board didn't think that he needed to be involved in it.
I know what I'm going to do. Oh, I still have light. I don't know if I have it. I don't know what I
Is that this month's?
Yeah, I wanted to say this earlier. Oh, there you go. Thank you. The Northern Neck Sentinel July 2023 edition, front page center article is Patriots Sit Behind Bars as Traitors Walk Free, written by John Haynes. And it's a photograph of 12 of the January 6ers. They must have been in D.C., I think. I'm not sure how they got that photo. I don't know if he addresses it in the article, but pretty impressive. The Noel store near you.
Yes.
Going to go to Williams and get it. It's the post office around us that they don't have the Reedville and the.
Well, you know, maybe
Pittsfield
we
and
can get Fawns to carry it.
Fonts?
Fawns.
So
It's this. So if you've been to the Reedville post office ever, there's a building that's actually attached to it, and it's been converted into like a coffee shop.
Deli.
Deli coffee shop.
It's tiny.
And it's packed every morning. It'd be a good place to distribute good news. So we got 3 people running for Board of Supervisors in District 5. 3. One of them is currently sitting on the school board. Oh!
It's tiny.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last streaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? USA! USA! USA!
All right, we got it.
Signing out.
Thank you, everybody.
That look that Tom gave me right there, just like, it's time, hurry up, get
Well,
in
she
there."
was saying it's time. You were talking about.
You know I'd have to take out a loan in order to pay attention, right? I think, what is it, Tuesday we're having that meeting?